Good evening, everybody. Man, I'm so excited to have Bill back again. Was that not one of the greatest cut and chats ever when we had Bill on teaching before? Bill is such a good teacher, and Jordan and I both were blown away with Bill's patience and just relaxed way of teaching. We really liked it. So we're very grateful and excited to have Bill back. And on that note, no spoilers about the game tonight. Bill is missing that for us to come hang out and cut rocks. So no spoilers in the chat. um, all right. You got anything you want to add, Bill, before we get started?
No, I didn't realize you're going to do boxes, but that's cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. We had literally it was funny. As soon as we finished the Intarsia the last time, everybody was like, "When are we gonna do boxes next?" So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I haven't actually played with any of the other jigs yet, so we've done a few other Intarsia pieces and curves. Yeah, see, everybody's gonna want to do curves next.
Now the thing about boxes, there's basically two approaches to to a four-sided box anyway. One of them is using the jig and doing 45-degree miters. The other one is just to do flat slabs and butt the things together. Um, and that's the easy way to do it. Um, does that make sense? Butting them together?
Yeah, got like that instead of mitered
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't have a machine or has a machine and doesn't have the jig, that's a good way to start to learn the principles, and then to do the 45 degree is an easy transition. Then
Awesome. Hey, before we dive into the cutting here, I keep getting this question: where can we buy your book? A lot of people in the
oh
chat have asked that.
oh really? Uh, it's it's uh, it's online. Um, I'm sure that I'm sure that I bet you Lozelle's got it tucked away somewhere in the archives. But I can send it. I can send you the link.
Here, I got
Awesome.
it.
Yeah. If you got a link, let's just throw it up in the chat, and that way everybody that wants to get Bill's book, perfect. There you go. Jordan just shared a link, so if you want to grab Bill's book, which I'd highly recommend because Bill's a wealth of knowledge, there you go. Awesome.
That no, that didn't look like the link that I'm familiar
Oh,
with, but
I got it. I have another one.
yeah, it should. The publisher is that's it. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, and I think it's. I tried to price it low, uh, and all the proceeds go to the William Holland School. So uh, you're making a donation to the school in addition to getting a book to get you started off.
Oh, good grief. It's only $19. Everybody should go buy
Right.
that. That is very cheap. All right. Well, yeah, I was just looking at it too, actually. Y'all should go, save that link or go grab that. That's awesome. And Jordan will have to grab a copy too for the warehouse here.
I'm doing it now.
Awesome. Jordan's
Now
so great.
on on the subject of the technique of using butted joints, um, I sent I think among the pictures that I sent to Lozelle tonight, I have a step-by-step picture on how to make a stone bead, and that's basically, if you think about it, a stone bead with butted joints is just a box with a real small center. Um,
Oh,
and if you can root through I think I sent probably about 20 pictures. One of them is a step by step showing you how to create that bead, and basically it, 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 tells you how to make a butted joint box.
You know, I never thought about making a bead that way. That's really interesting, but I can kind of visualize what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right, Cody? I just had the same, like, holy crap, we got to do that.
yeah.
Lizelle, do you have those pictures handy?
That was a really fascinating slab. Had a little block. It's imperial jasper, but it had that strange uh, pattern in the middle of it. Nothing else.
Oh, is that chrysoprase around the edges?
No, it's light and green aventurine,
Oh,
light and
wow.
dark aventurine.
That's really pretty.
Of course, these are most of these pictures are ones I went back and dug up some real old ones, so they're not as professional looking as some of the other ones I sent previously. But this is a piece we did. We did a collaboration piece, myself and one of the silversmith instructors. We did this for one of the school auctions.
That's
And
really pretty.
yeah, that's chevron amethyst with some. It's bordered with basanite, and then the perimeter and the backing, which you can't see, is viper jasper.
Oh, that's really cool. And goes really well with the snake design down the side.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one.
That's stunning.
Yeah, that's some dichroic with a piece of abalone at the bottom.
Is the dichroic in this, is that set like the druzy, or is that polished
Yeah.
smooth?
Uh, oh, it's polished smooth.
Oh, okay, I
You
gotcha.
when you select dichroic to use for Intarsia, you need to make sure that it's the type that when they fuse the glass, that they fuse a nice thick layer of clear glass on top.
I did wonder about that because I ordered some dichroic glass because I love some of the things you did, and I did not realize there were so many different types. The stuff I got was like wavy and textured, and I was like, that's not going to polish.
Yeah,
That's a really cool design too.
yeah. That's some palm root from a friend sent me from California.
Wow, it looks like sunstone. It looks so fiery in the picture.
Yeah, well, she calls it California wildfire.
That looks like it takes a lot of patience. That's really impressive.
That's actually easier than it. Most of this stuff really is easier than it appears. Um,
Is that all different colors of palm wood on
yeah,
the knife handle?
it's actually from the same chunk that was just sliced and diced, and it had some color and pattern variations.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's some yellow feather jasper from Utah in the center.
I love that material.
Yes, I do too.
A little
You
pink in
can't,
there.
yeah, you can't go wrong. There it is. There's the bead, and if you take that final picture down at the lower right, and you can take that to your what CB8 machine,
Uh huh.
and you can round off those edges and make a bead. And then if you want to get a little fancier, you can put some. Well, people will make their own little brass or silver um, inserts to go in the ends to make them nice and smooth and so you
Oh,
don't have a square hole in the middle.
that was really cool. Yeah, I'd never thought about doing it, making a little box as a bead. Oh man, that's a gorgeous piece. What was the green in that one?
Um, Chris Cola, that's some sagenite in the middle, and yeah, and that's Biggs, of course, with yeah, Chris Cola, Basinite, and then some yellow moss agate.
So how long will you be able to make this piece?
How long did it take to make it?
Yeah.
Um, well, I might turn that over and ask Zeke because
Well, we did.
that's kind of the piece that he did. I mean, it's basically the triangle. You talking about the rectangular one or this one here?
Like for the normal square
The
as a
normal
first timer.
square. It
Like for
once
Z.
once once you get the hang of it, it goes really fast. It ends up being a function of the hardness of the material you're working with. Uh,
Yeah, the one we did this afternoon, we did in about an hour and a half. The first one took a little over 2 hours. So it's definitely once you get the hang of it. It's a definitely like Bill said, it's a lot easier once you grasp the concept than it appears. Because I was kind of blown away how easy it was to do after we did that first one with Bill.
yeah, the refinements that once you learn the basic process, you'll need to work on the refinements of making sure that your borders are equal all the way around, and and then you want to work on getting them as thin as possible, and that just takes some practice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people after trying it notice that you have some very impressively thin borders, and they're very consistent even when they're thin.
Yeah, I had a gentleman come in my class one year, and I like this is another story I like to hear myself tell. Um, he came in and he was an very experienced silversmith and an instructor, and we were sitting in there the first day, and he said, "You know what I really want to learn is how you make those really fine lines." And I turned around, I said, Alan, well, let me ask you this: when you're teaching your beginning silversmithing teachers, and they one of the first things you do is make a bezel, and one of the first things you do after you make the bezel is to melt it because you don't understand the all the dynamics of the heat. So I said, what do you tell your students to get them to get so that they won't melt their bezels? He says, well, I just tell them it takes some practice. And I said, well, that's the answer that you're looking for.
That is a really good story.
This is an interesting piece. That was a oddly enough, that was from a piece of polka dot agate in the middle, and that structure there was just hidden off or just stuck off in the corner, and the rest of it was typical polka dot. That's why I like for years, I always refer to what I do as rockhound Intarsia because it really gives you a cool methodology of showing off rocks.
Wow. That last one was one of the things I really appreciate, like that last one we were just looking at, is you have two tapered borders and they match perfectly. Oh, that one's got nice eyes in it. Is that a Botswana?
Yeah, that's Mr. Bill. Oh no!
I love it. So you do one like this, are you just doing really thick outside borders and grinding them to where you want?
Yes. Now, on the subject of refining your borders, after you learn the basic process and you get so that you can get your pieces together without gaps, then the next thing you want to do is work on getting your borders consistent. And the you want to get, okay, let's say you got your center stone on your centerpiece and you got your first four. In this case, we'll say you got the first two, the first black around, and the inclination is to immediately go in and grind all four sides so that they are equal. Now, I notice in this that they're not equal, but so the inclination is to grind them all equal and then begin putting on your next set of borders. The safest thing to do is to pick two sides, two adjacent sides, grind those to the thickness that you want them to be, then attach your next set of borders on those two sides, and then rotate it 90 degrees and grind those tails off, and then at that time, then you will bring down those other two sides to the thickness of the original borders that you started with.
Oh,
So, and the reason is, particularly when you're learning, the reason is because that if you try to do all four of them equal, when you come in and do that step where you're taking the tails off, getting ready to put the final set of borders on, there's a very good chance that you will inadvertently hit one of those borders and make it thinner.
mm-hmm. That's exactly what the problem that I've had with inconsistency on borders.
Yeah.
What you just described.
So you start with a rectangular piece. You start with two sides and just work on those two sides, and then do the other two, and then if you're going to add multiple borders, like in this case here, even though this isn't a square, you still do it the same way. It's got four sides.
What was the orange stone? No, last one.
Around the perimeter?
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's some jasper that I got somewhere along the line. I get a lot of stuff. People will give me material and they'll have some kind of a colloquial name for it, or they don't know what it is, but it's just perfect for some project eventually, and that's what this was.
That's really cool. That's hilarious, Colleen. rhodonite, basanite, and then rhodonite again.
Yes.
I love the
Rhodonite.
color combination.
Rhodonite's really cool because it does nice landscape. Lots of trees.
That is a really interesting piece. Is this kind of like you're doing with the quilting pattern?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, I did this many, many years ago before I started doing quilts. And I actually, what I try to do, particularly since well, like I've said before, I first and foremost, I consider myself an instructor or a teacher. Um, the really cool thing about being a teacher is you can. I mean, I recognize my limitations. I, I really enjoy being able to show people how to do this stuff, and then just having them run with it, and just and get be boggled by the results that they come up with. Um, Very gratifying. Um, that's a cool piece of palm root from Texas.
Looks like an owl, like an eye.
I was
Yeah,
just
looking
gonna
at
say
you.
that.
That's
yeah.
a really cool piece. That last one is still blowing my mind though on the all those little, like the way they're perfectly stacked in a line. Those little squares.
Oh yeah. Well, I have. Oh, I know what I was making a short story long, but I what I try to do is when I'm doing something new and prototyping, I try to take step by step pictures. That thing I did with the beads, that's a good example of it. But I've got a step by step of how I did this one too, which I'll be glad to share. I've got a bunch of them that I've done through the years.
Yeah, I would love to see those because like that one, I'm like sitting in my head and I'm like, there's three different places I can see starting.
That's right. And it turns out all three of them would probably work fine.
That's great contrast. That rich red in there.
Now, most people would think that's crazy lace agate from Mexico. That's actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of Somerville agate, but
Oh, okay. My guess was going to be a sow belly agate, but I can see
there's
that.
a there's a place over in northwest Georgia called, well, it's a little town called Somerville, and there is a huge deposit of this lace agate over there.
Oh wow. It does look a lot like Crazy Lace. If you hadn't said anything, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it not being Crazy Lace. Yeah, I do too, Marvin. That double black border really gives it just such a pop. Hey, Jackson. Yeah, that's another really good piece of the yellow feather.
The double black border works really well with Turritella also. White and double black.
Hey, Linda. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing those. Those were a lot of really amazing things to look at. Now I'm all like, now just see what's terrible about this. Everybody in the room knows. All they're going to hear about is Intarsia for the next month because I'm going to be like, oh, I want to try that now. They've been getting on me because I've been like, you know what that would be good for? That would be a great Intarsia piece.
That's right.
Every time we show rock. Yeah, Lazelle's like a month.
A
I
month?
wish it was only a month. I
Yeah,
think.
the black
Sorry, go
material
ahead,
is, it goes by a lot of different names, but it's just basalt. Uh, but it goes typically in the Intarsia community anyway, and also in the opals to some extent. It goes by Basinite. And I order my base. I don't know if y'all carry it or not, um, but if not, you can buy it from Philip Stevenson, his site, Rare Rocks and Gems. He sells it there, and he's very
Oh,
reasonable.
okay.
And he's got good material because I through the years I've ordered from a number of sources that weren't good, and I think Philip kind of high grades his material so that I've never got a bad piece or a bad chunk.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, we don't. I don't think we have any basinite. So there you go. There's a good source for you guys for basinite.
Yeah, it's
Of course, now.
rarerocksandgems.com, I think is but it's Philip Stevenson. He's the guy that if you follow him on Facebook, he's uh, been running and his new claim is at Whiskey Creek. Uh, he's got some amazing finds there.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. There you go. And I'm sure
Yeah,
Lozelle will have that if you guys need it.
John's I don't know if they're good buddies or they're certainly acquaintances.
Well, that's what I was going to say is if, something we don't have, I'll be sending John to go find it. So get us a ton of basinite. So, all right. Yeah, we can look at that later. Wallace, just remind me again because I'm gonna forget. So we'll look at that later. I guess I should probably show you guys the slab that I cut for the box tonight. Like Jordan, I got a little overzealous with the size, so I think one slab will actually do the whole, at least all four sides there. But I got a chunk of the Indonesian bone wood I cut for doing our borders, and then in the saw right now, I actually have it cutting this direction so that we can do our sides with the pattern going the long way, and then the top and bottom going the other way. This is 7 turns on the 20-inch saw. You guys, team, you want to pin up my camera? Let's see. You guys seeing that? Nice piece of bone wood.
It's up.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but we're going to start by drawing out squares on here of for each side.
Yes.
Looked like in your picture you just did 2 long lines and then had them sectioned off.
Yeah. Whatever works for you, as long as leave you enough room to saw.
All right. I like it.
You said this is the Bonewood Z?
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was asking Bill before we started here about how big to do, and the recommendation was about 1 inch. So we're going to keep this pretty close. I'm not worried about making them exactly 1 inch, but one of the things that actually makes it really enjoyable to work with someone like Bill is that there's really not a lot of pressure here. So if I make a mistake, we can just correct it along the way. That big, excuse me, because I did one long line, I used the calipers and put a couple short lines so that I can take the ruler and line them up. Because obviously I want them to be parallel, so I use the calipers to make a nice parallel line, or as close to as possible. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I just did 2 lines and a long link that's kind of a similar pattern going up and down the piece.
The other thing you can do is, of course, is to use a square template.
It does not surprise me that you have an easier way than what I'm doing.
I don't know if this shows up, but this is a box. This is a 1 square inch box here. I got holding up with my finger.
Oh, okay.
Oops. Keeps going to fade out on me. There.
That's awesome. When you do the box like this, I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but I'm just trying to think, how do you put the lid on that?
Well, there's a couple ways that I've done. Let's see. I've got another one here which I can illustrate that. Okay, this one I did with oh, here we go. This one I did with palm wood. Okay, there. And not going to focus on me.
That's so cute. I love it.
Now what I did is with the lid on this one is
Oh, okay.
and it just fits in there nice and tight.
That's really cool.
Another one I did here. This one I got a little fancy. I put on my Intarsia hat and
Wow. That's a beautiful box.
now this lid has a magic hinge on it. And people will say, "How in the heck did you get that hinge on there?" And it turns out that black electrician's tape is the same color as the basanite. So anyway, that's what I've done for that. To do the hinge properly, of course, you need to get real fancy and do some drilling and get a little some of those little tiny brass hinges that you can get from that. Was it micro? Is it Micromark? Micromark, I think, sells a lot of those little small hardware that they do for the train people, the model train people.
That's really cool. I like your electrical tape solution there. You definitely can't tell from just looking on camera. All right, got us sectioned off there. Grab our safety glasses and we can go trim away.
Now you're a very experienced cutter, so I'm sure you're not going to have any trouble hitting those lines. But but I'd recommend for someone who maybe is not quite as experienced to give you back off a little bit on those so that um, you give yourself a little bit of extra room.
A little bit more tolerance.
Thank you. Yeah, I was looking for that word. Yeah.
Now, to Bill's credit, I'm not quite as good of a cutter as he thinks because I'm going to cut on the outsides of these lines. And if you notice, I have a little extra space at the bottom here. When I go to cut these middle lines, I'm going to put the blade on the outer edge of each one of these lines. And I'm just going to be consistent with putting it on the outer edge on the same side. And that way, I won't cut into my square.
Good point.
But yes, that is very tight tolerance to deal with there. Oh, we'll get the camera adjusted here. And I remembered to fill up the saw with water this time, so we don't have to wait.
I know that trim saw looks nice and shiny, right, guys?
And quiet.
We have Sherman got us really good noise canceling headphones for the cut and chats. So we have the saws running and the trim saw going, and you guys can't hear a thing, which is pretty nice. Yeah, yeah, Terry, I trained the boys to clean it, and I think Zeke might have cleaned it before the live, so I don't know. I walked over there and he was at least filling it.
I did clean it off a little bit.
I know. I can't believe it either, but he's doing really good.
See, like I was talking about there, it's not a perfectly straight line. You can see it tapers a little bit there. But I'm cutting on the outside there so that I don't get too much into my space.
You guys are so funny. I am, yes. That's funny, Jack. Well, we have to keep the lab in shape. We're excited for those reciprocating laps to come in. So we're getting it ready in here so we can get one out and start shooting some content on there.
Man, that's some really nice looking bone wood.
It is nice.
I like that pattern a lot in there. And I can't remember.
Very dramatic box too.
I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I'm cutting another slab that matches the end grain. So when we put the top and bottom on, they'll match. Let's see. Oh, perfect. And we actually got enough room to do our next cuts in the 6-inch trim saw. Now that our slab is not so huge, which I much prefer using the 6-inch with this really little blade in it.
Definitely the reciprocating laps. But of course, now that I say that, they'll probably hold those in customs forever, and then the mystery barrels will come first. But what should come first is those laps.
I talked to John yesterday, and the mystery barrels are still sitting in Indonesia waiting to be picked up. So they're not yet on the the boat.
So the news on the just so all of you know, the news on the rough is I will know as soon as the container starts backing up and I have to go make people move their cars out of the way. They do not give me any sort of update as to when it's coming in. Unlike the parts and machines containers, I have POs and that stuff to be able to track it. I don't yet have visibility to see when the rough's coming, but I think we're due for a couple containers from China. So, um, it is. I know there is some cool stuff coming, but I know you guys don't like surprises, but that will be a surprise. Those look nice, Secret.
Very excited about this piece.
That will be a very dramatic box.
Thank you. All right, so our next step is going to be to square these off, make them perfect squares.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I assume you want these to be, the height really does not matter very much,
Yeah.
you know, if they're off a little bit because we're going to grind that in.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I need to be careful of making these match?
No, not unless if you were purposely trying to match a particular pattern, but no, not with what you got there.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right. So I just want to do,
Just
I guess
two.
maybe because we're gonna miter them. What are we
Yeah.
squaring off to? Is this gonna be squared to the bottom or squared to the top?
Um, Square to the bottom, and all you
All
have
right.
to do, just square at this point. Just square two side or one corner,
Okay.
and
So
that'll be the corner that you will that you'll be putting one side down uh, on the table, and then the other side on the lap. So you just at this point, all you need is just the square up the one corner.
okay, yeah, because I was just thinking if we're gonna miter these two together, the bottom doesn't matter yet. Should we miter these or square them?
Well, just uh, pick a corner and then lay. Okay, pick your. It's funny. I'm sitting here pointing, pointing, and it doesn't work.
Because
Um,
we want our pattern to go up and down like this.
okay. Uh, the one on your left. Okay. Yeah, that one there on the left side. Um, Square off that the the lower right corner. Yeah, square that off. Get that 90 degree.
Okay, so I'm gonna make this edge 90 degrees to this face.
No,
That right there.
no, you're not worried about the faces right now. You're just worried about the. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the face.
Oh, I get what you're saying. You
Yeah,
mean this corner right here needs to be
yes,
90 degrees.
yeah. So you can use.
Okay.
I think I saw. Yeah, you got one of those little 90 degree gadgets on your table there, so you can square that up right away.
I gotcha. Okay. I was trying to picture which side we were 90 degreeing to, but that makes sense now.
Yeah. And after you've done that, make sure to mark them. I love the lights on those machines.
Yeah, it makes it nice and bright. So now this corner is perfect.
Right.
You want me to put like an X or a check in this corner?
Yeah, that'd be good. And yeah, to make sure that later after you've laid it down and pick it up that
Okay,
so
I gotcha.
decide which side are you going to put. Well, after you put your when you put your 45 jig on there, which side are you going to put on the table? Which edge?
Well, you mean which way is going to face out? Which way is going to face in?
Mm, well, that too, but mainly which side, which edge is going to be down on the table. In other words, that the when
So
you
I'd miter like
yeah,
that is how I'd.
exactly, yeah, and then mark that somehow so that you won't lose that reference point.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna make it easy for my brain, and I'm gonna put a line down that edge, and it's got the check going this way. Because in
Okay.
my mind, that means I'm gonna grind that off, and
Yes.
I know this corner is where I check to 90.
Okay.
All right. So is the next step on this piece be to miter it?
Yes.
All right. I'm
Or,
actually
or you or you could do that, or you could go ahead and square off your other bottom corner, and
this one over here.
yeah.
All right. I will say we're actually spoiled enough that we have two Intarsia machines set up. So the 8-inch next to me has the mitering jig already on it.
Okay. Okay, so that surface that's against your fence, that's going to be what's going to be laying on the table. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's going to be the bottom.
Okay, so and that's perfectly flat, correct?
Yep.
Okay, you're in good shape.
So I'll mark to the corner. I'm just doing a diagonal line, and then
Yeah,
where I'm going to miter it, I'm going to do another parallel line. So I know
yeah.
in my brain that makes a lot of sense. So all right. So this piece, the next step for this one is we go put it miter it that way, and then flip it over and miter it the other way. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Now, yeah, but see, you're going to have to square up your other sides too. Then, since I just realized you're going to be flipping it over.
Oh, I gotcha. Let's see. These three should already be good. Let
Yeah.
me check those with the calipers. That's pretty squared off there. And then it's that side that's not going to be square because we haven't done that one yet. All right. I definitely see how doing more three-dimensional things like this, the jigs are really going to come into handy.
Yeah. Now, before you guys came out with that, and before you came out with the machine, the way I did the boxes was I have one of the Alsasona machines, and what I did is I got some 2x4 material, and I went out with my chop saw, and I mitered some 45-degree angles on the block of wood, and then I got a C-clamp, and I clamped that block of wood to the table and used that, and it works fine. It's it's not as certainly not as stable and as accurate as what you're working with, though.
I think we're off. I do love the innovation. You know, people come up with creative solutions like that. Yeah, this side feels off. Yeah, you'd have really appreciated teaching Jordan. She did. Quite literally every face was perfectly squared. I was helping Douglas, so I wasn't watching, and she had that thing so every edge was perfectly aligned.
All right.
Zeke was like, "Are you done yet?" And I was like, "Why are you rushing me?" I was like, "This is what you told me to do." He was like, "Oh my goodness." I was like, "Well, that's going to be the most perfectly flat piece of rock ever."
So
It really is.
your answer, Jordan, is supposed to be, was there any doubt?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's pretty square now. And then these two edges right here, you know, there and there is where we'll be mitering. We'll come over here. I was going to do all of this on the 6-inch, but then I realized I had 8-inch jigs in here.
So the only trick, well, not a trick, but the most important thing to keep in mind, and this is particularly for beginners, is you're trying to focus on a bunch of things at once here, but try to make sure that you keep that flat against the table and flat against the 45. Oh, and the other thing, by the way, is when you put your jig on, make sure that the screws are tightened down. Because we ran into a situation with the jig early on. I think it was maybe Martha Graziano. She was doing a piece, and it there was enough play in it that it was the jig itself was actually bumping into the lap, and we didn't realize it because it was so subtle. So anyway, make sure that that's down good and flat. Make sure you clean
It
up
is
the table first. And
snug.
yeah. So just as you're grinding, just focus on keeping it pushed down and against the 45 degree, and just go in until you're going to have to eyeball this till you eyeball it to it hits that corner. When you get maybe halfway through, pull it off and let everybody take a look and see what it looks like.
You can see what Bill's talking about. You need to get all the way to the corner. Otherwise, this is each edge will stick out kind of funky. Although this gives me an entirely new idea to leave them about the same distance like that, and put a strip of different material or metal down each edge.
You can do that, yeah. Or a different strip of stone.
I can already feel for people that are over ambitious. You got to make sure you really have that front edge pressed against the jig. Otherwise, you're going to make a curved edge or an incorrect angle.
Yeah. And if your lap starts to get dull also, that can give you problems. Since you're grinding basically in one area anyway, so it's going to wear a little faster, particularly with hard material.
This is a 180 grit. Although I think an 80 grit doing that edge would give you too much chipping depending on the material.
Yep.
That was really close. Not quite. You can see I still have a flat edge right here.
And if you get to the point you're at now and you look at that and it's not nice and consistent across coming to a point consistently, then you know that you have not applied the equal pressure down and over towards the jig. And I'm assuming that's pretty hard material also, right?
Yeah, a lot of agate in this. How close do I still got like a little tiny flat edge there. Do you want it all the way to like a knife edge or?
Sure.
All right. Turn down my excessive water use. It was really cool. The whole packing team was in here right after the last time you were on with us, and they thought it was really cool to finally see the jigs, like where they go, because they were like, "Oh, we ship out tons of these." They didn't realize what they were for.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right, so now I just flip it over and do the match the other edge.
Yep.
Do you have a trick for people so if you get this real sharp, you're not pressing real hard into this edge right here?
Oh, no, hadn't thought of that. Huh.
Oh, okay. Well, it can't be too much of a problem if you haven't thought of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking those rubber finger protectors we have
Yeah.
it'd be a perfect thing for this right here.
Yeah. People will use for most any lapidary thing like that, whether it's cabbing or this. I've seen them use those rubber finger tips, and the other thing is that tape that the nurses use to after you get get poked for a blood test and they wrap that piece of cotton around your arm. That's that stretchy, sticky tape.
Uh-huh.
It's like a that works really well to because you can form that to your fingertip, whereas the rubber finger things don't always fit.
Do you ever use a coarser wheel for doing the mitering?
No,
I would think that you'd get too much chipping on that sharp edge.
yeah, an 80 wheel that I know that's what came with my machine originally. It's it is a little bit too rough.
You can see the distance there, what we have to match.
Looking good.
How big of a box could you make on a machine like this?
Well, you could probably get out your ruler and measure the from the base of the table up to the top of the jig there, and that would give you an indication. I've never had the occasion to check, but
Have you ever done like longer, like where you use, you put a slab that maybe goes up the whole edge here?
no, I have not. Um, Diamond Pacific used to make an attachment to the Genie that was called a boxer.
Uh-huh.
It was a gadget that fit that clamped to the table, and you put a lap on the end of the screw or spun it onto the end of the wheel or the shaft, and and it would allow you to do precise 45-degree angles, and you could get quite a large size box with that. But they quit making those.
It's funny. I can picture that. Exactly what you're talking about in the catalog. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody actually use one. How big of a? I mean, generally, from what I've seen, they're pretty small. But what would you say the average size box is about what we're doing?
Um, yeah, usually, well, I only know what. Generally, I've done real small ones like inch and a half. Um, I've had people in class do them up to maybe 3 inches.
Oh, okay.
But you run out of real estate on the lap pretty quick.
I keep semi-harassing John that we need like a 24-inch Intarsia machine today. Great big stuff.
There's somebody out there that makes 18 and 24-inch uh, Intarsia light machines. They're designed for the people that do a lot of stained glass professionally.
Wow.
It looks just like an Intarsia machine. It's got a big table on it, the table is adjustable, so you can do bevels. It it adjusts up and down or at angles. But if you set it at 90 degrees, you could do pretty much any size of a piece of Intarsia with it.
That's pretty incredible. In hindsight, I definitely would have picked a softer material to do this box with.
Yeah, the
To
first
start.
thing's always you need to start with something easy. Yep. For anybody watching out there, you might want to consider using some composite material to begin with.
Yeah, in hindsight, I was just thinking that lavender swirl would be a really good one to make a box with. That would grind really fast. Almost there on that edge. I'm gonna take you guys with me. I can hear the saw. It needs to be swapped around for the um, lid and bottom. You get this swapped over. There's that. This is that same piece of bone wood. The side is what we're looking at now, but that'll be the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
I picked this material just because I like that kind of matching the pattern as it goes up and down.
Yes.
All right. Let me wash my hands and I'll come back and grab the camera. You guys like that bone wood? I was digging through the bin earlier and I was thinking, oh man, we gotta show some of that tomorrow.
I saw John demonstrating the new vise for the HD14, and
Uh-huh.
um, it looked different than the one that I'd ordered from many months ago. Is that a new improved version or what?
Yeah, it's John, because the one we had and probably the one you ordered, John designed a long time ago to fit, the LS 10 through 14 and the HT 10 through 14. But the limitation is that it would also fit a 10, and so he made a bigger, improved version for for the 12 and 14, so you could stick a bigger rock in there.
Okay.
We actually that was kind of the video announcing it. We actually haven't even gotten them in the warehouse yet. More like a sneak peek at them. Yeah, as a general rule, the rocks and the parts won't ever ship together. for the most part, they're not even in the same building. I mean, the buildings connect, so you can walk between them, but. Oh, we're almost there. This does make it pretty easy to get these beveled edges or mitered edges.
It does, for sure. A lot
This is
easier,
the
a lot easier than a piece of 2x4.
But you know, that's how a lot of great inventions come about. Is someone like Bill takes a 2x4 and makes one, and you know makes something beautiful, and then someone like John is like, "Oh, we can make that."
Yeah, we were talking when we were kicking these designs around originally. Uh, I was stuck in 45-degree jigs, and before I knew it, he had like 8 different variations going.
That definitely sounds like something John would do.
But what you're doing now, you could easily do. It's the same procedure we're doing with the 30-degree jig to do a 6-sided box.
I did feel a little ambitious and thought about setting up for a 6-sided box, but based on the last one, I was like, I knew you were going to want to do a 4-sided, and I'm glad we stuck with the 4-sided because it definitely takes more time to grind these bevels than I imagined. Hey Jordan, you got your mic on?
Yeah, Zeke, what's up?
Douglas doesn't have his Intarsia piece here still, does he?
No, he doesn't, but I have a video. Do you want it?
You want to send it to Lozelle, or if you want to screen share it, I want to share that with Bill because Douglas is someone who's never done anything in lapidary before. Like he's never
Okay.
even made a cab before his Intarsia piece. And after we did Intarsia with Bill, I taught him how to do the Intarsia because I've never seen Douglas light up like that before. And I think Bill will appreciate it because Douglas, like literally, he had never done anything, not made a cab, not polished a piece, nothing. I don't think he'd ever even turned on a cab machine before.
All right.
And he did a really beautiful piece. Oh, we're so close. And you definitely got to get patient because the more you grind in, the bigger that face gets. So it feels like it takes forever because you're getting bigger and bigger on that face.
That's right.
I mean, if you think about how perfectly of a flat face, how much material we just grind off, it's actually a decent amount that we're grinding off.
So you want to go over and cut up some of that serpentine to do another box?
I'm definitely about there. I'm thinking For tonight's sake, we could throw a chunk like in the drop saw or something and whack one out pretty quick. Or even cut it by hand.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that taking you a little longer is I'm assuming when I looked at when you were cutting your slabs, you cut them, what I'll call cabochon thickness, right?
Yeah, these are about the thickness of doing a cab.
Yeah. Well, I almost always make my cuts quite a bit thinner than that, at least half as thin as that. So
Oh,
I'm
wow. Okay.
working with less material anyway.
All right. Well, I think we got our first
It looks good. Looks really good.
first side done. All right. For time's sake, now that we're one side in, which do you think we should go cut another softer piece to finish this, or shall we continue with this one?
I'll leave it up to you. You're the man at the wheel.
Well, I'll let y'all vote on it in the chat because y'all got to watch me do it for the next couple hours. So, if you would like to, yeah, only 3 more to go. So, I'm happy to go cut something else, or we can finish this one, whatever you guys would like. You guys are so funny. All right, we'll cut something softer. I kind of feel the same way of I don't necessarily want to make you guys sit here. I'll do this when I can put on earbuds and sit here and grind for quite a bit of time. All right, let's see. Soda light would be a pretty good one. Let me go grab something soft that we can throw in the saw. Well, and I actually am kind of glad we did this because I guarantee if you don't know, most people would do exactly what I just did. And they'd be going, gosh, this takes a real long time. And you'll be a lot more successful if you do it with something that's easier to get you started and then work your way up rather than start with something hard and spend forever doing it. I also did not anticipate on doing such a small rock or a small. Ooh, this would be a fun material. We haven't cut. This is the pink dendritic. It's kind of a orangey pink stone with little dendrites in it. Let's throw this in the.
What is it?
We just call it pink dendritic. It's from Indonesia, but it's the first time I've ever seen it before. It's kind of like not quite a jasper, but a little bit softer.
Okay, softer's good.
But what I'm thinking, Brian, is it's still hard enough that it'll take a nice sharp edge, but not so hard that we'll spend forever grinding it. And I'm liking what Bill's saying about half the thickness because I'm like, I can see how that would really make a difference.
Yeah. Probably see. I don't know how. Is that real stable material?
Yeah, it's very stable.
Yeah. So you could probably get by with like 3 millimeter.
Oh, wow. That would be real thin.
Or 4. Since it is soft, go with 4 just to be safe.
We'll call this planned. I wanted to really show you guys how to make yourself successful on the first run.
Yeah, the boxes that I held up, I was just measuring them. Uh, one of them was 2 millimeters and the other one was 4.
Oh, okay. 2 millimeters. That's really thin. That's impressive.
Well, that's some real hard material. That was the uh,
Palm wood.
no. Let's see. The palm wood was a little thicker. This well that would have worked for that. This is uh, rooster tail.
Oh, okay. That's pretty hard material too.
Yeah, that's nice for boxes because it's you don't have a pattern to match, and it polishes up beautifully.
And fortunately, while we let that cut, I have another little project we can actually finish from the last time we did Intarsia. Let's see where I set it down. This is a
Oh, neat.
little piece I was doing. You got pearl agate with the little dendrite. And I think we put lapis in there and then hypersteam. I think Jordan is helping people um, with orders at the moment. But she does want to finish her Intarsia piece. I don't think it'll be tonight, though.
Hey guys, team, do you guys have that video of Douglas's like ready to share at the moment? Okay. Do you want to pin that up while Zeke's just doing this on the trim saw?
That'd be great. I think you guys will really appreciate it because Douglas has just done absolutely no lapidary. So I think you guys are going to be really impressed when you see what he was able to accomplish for his very first Intarsia, very first cab. Probably the first time running the saw, too, actually.
He's run the saws before, but first time on the cab machine. So for his centerpiece, he used dragon's blood from China, and then he used Red River jasper in the middle, and then the outside border is cherry orchard.
Very nice.
Yeah, he did awesome.
We're like pseudo company
Yeah.
property stuff, so I can't.
Oh,
you
no.
know.
Yeah, Douglas is very meticulous on how he does stuff, so he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he really wanted to not make any mistakes, and it was pretty perfect. That's
Yeah.
really impressive, though, for one piece. And he's never done any other lapidary work.
Yeah.
I was kind of partially like, can I actually take this home? Or is this like this weird like pseudo company property stuff, so I can't.
Oh,
you know.
no.
That's funny. I remember that conversation with Douglas. He was like, "Can I take this up to my parents' house in Maine?" And I was like, "Yes, Douglas, you can." He was like, "Oh, okay, perfect," because he was so proud because his parents, because Bill Douglas did woodworking before this.
Oh, okay.
So
He'll be a natural then.
he's awesome, and he does. He's really artistic, and he does a lot of artistic commission work on the side for people. So he builds little mini figurines, and his parents love seeing all that stuff. So
Yeah.
he brought it up to them when he got to see them for the holidays because they moved from California here to Maine. So he was very excited.
Yeah, if he's a woodworker, he understands the importance of the tight joints.
Oh yeah, yeah. They would make I forget exactly what he did, but they were like he did a little bit of everything. Um, there he did the shipping and receiving there and the actual woodworking, but he's done a lot of stuff like that.
Well, if you type
Yeah,
in
he's
if you type in Intarsia on the internet, you'll get 800 pages of wood Intarsia.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, in order to get any pictures of stone Intarsia, you pretty much have to type in stone Intarsia. And and I learned in one of my classes one time that there's a sect of the knitting community that makes knitted Intarsia.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, it's sodalite, not lapis. Okay, we
Oh,
did
that
this
was
so
that
long ago.
piece. That was that piece that didn't sell, Zeke, remember? You're like, I can't believe no one grabbed that.
Oh yeah, it was such a good piece. I was blown away. And then the Hyperstein's a little bit more prone to chipping. So I'm going to switch over to the 220. That's going to be a lot gentler to not get little chips. I already got a couple little out of the edge, and you don't want Tarsia piece to break on you. Although I guess it's easily fixable because you're already gluing it up. I did really like your suggestion of Bill of doing the one full set of sides and then doing your next full set of sides.
Yeah.
Get,
Yeah, that'll keep you.
Because my edges, I can or borders, I always see them like, oh, that's tapered.
You know, what that piece there, that's a case where you have a sample of sodalite with all the white material in it, which normally you wouldn't really particularly care for, but that works out perfectly for that.
Yeah, I really like the spider webbing kind of look in that one. And then I made the Hyperstein match so the lines are all going into towards the center.
Uh-huh. That's great.
I think I've driven a few people crazy. I've been having so much fun with the Intarsia. It's pretty much all I've talked about in the live events since that first night you were with us.
You know, once you get into this, you'll find that when you go to rock shows, you have a whole new perspective on things because you're looking for, instead of looking for necessarily for beautiful agate type material, you're looking for uniform material to make borders with, which in a lot of cases is stuff that the people don't want um, because it's uniform.
You know, it's funny. There's a lot of material that I've seen John pass on over the years, last couple of years. That I'm like, hey, John, I need a whole shipping container of that stuff now because that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Zeke, does our charwhite need to be stabilized for slicing and cabbing?
Caraway is definitely a fibrous material, no matter where you get it. And it only comes from one place in the world. It tends to be a fibrous material. So it's definitely one like where I was just talking about with the Hyperstein, where I switched over and I'm working it real gentle with the 220 grit. It definitely helps to stabilize it, but it's not necessary. But it's definitely one that you got to be patient with and really gently work. Otherwise, you'll get where it splits and separates. That's why I told Jordan that doing a Hyperstein and Tarja, or a Hyperstein and Charweight and Tarja to start, probably was not a great idea for her
It would have
sanity.
looked. It would have looked so cool, though. You can't even tell me that wouldn't have been so sick.
It will look really sick. Just maybe after you get through that first piece, then do it.
True. And then we have to make it smaller, but my luck, I'll make it way too small and then I'll have nothing left.
If you're going to use charite in borders in Intarsia, it's important that you try to do them just two sides at a time, and as soon as possible, get another border on it to stabilize it.
Oh.
And another thing you can do is for that type of material is you can put on what I call a sacrificial backing. Just slap some throwaway material on it, and then go ahead and cut it and grind it. And then when you're done with it, you can always grind that off if necessary.
Oh,
But it'll keep it from falling apart, or it will greatly reduce the possibility of that.
I really like that suggestion.
I keep some real thin slabs of epidote around just for that purpose.
That looks good, Zeke.
Thank you. I really like how this one's turning
That
out.
is, boy, I love that.
Bill, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How does it feel for you as the teacher to kind of see that you've taught Zeke something once, and not only has he done it himself now quite a bit, he's now taught Zeke, your camera's out of focus. Now he's taught 2 people and probably over 100 people on here how to do it just from you. How does that feel?
I think it's amazing. Yeah, that I mean, I retired from doing something totally different from all this. So this is great to be able to pass this stuff along that I learned kind of as an afterthought.
Well, Bill is really a perfect part of when Sherman's talking about the mission to get 1 million more people into the lapidary arts. Because that's exactly the chain of events that it takes. How many times have y'all heard, oh, that's my secret. I can't tell you how I do that because then you'll be competing with me.
Yeah.
And, Bill got on here and was like, oh, let me just show you how to do it. And we were able to share that with you guys. And now that will just continue to get shared and shared.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wrote that book, because I know I could only reach a certain amount of people at the school. So
I wanted to add that there are also a lot of customers that are hooked more into Intarsia after that first session with Bill and Zeke. Like, for example, here I'm looking at the Facebook group that we had, like Stacy, Jeff Sandmeyer, George Sharas, Chris
George,
McLean.
yeah,
Yeah.
George has been a student of mine. He's
Yeah.
he's a great friend.
Cindy, Cody. Yep. So it's like really more Intarsia stuff that we saw on the group now after we had that session with you and Zeke Bill. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, maybe what we can do, team, on the Intarsia contest, maybe before we start, we can collate all this stuff and we show this to people. But I'm not sure if that will really they will use this to their piece. But yeah, that's also something that we can capture.
Well, Brian, to answer your question, I don't know the exact number, but to be honest, so I started here from my end, I started here in 2024. So I'm coming up on my 2 years of being here. And let me tell you, I've done every single part of just about every single part of the warehouse stuff here. And I would ship in Intarsia machine every now and again. And they would sit there and sit there and sit there, and I'd actually wipe the boxes off. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, what does this stuff do? Because all I knew from Zeke was that he was cabbing and sphering, and you know what I mean? And then as time has gone on, we started to sell a couple more here and there, and then we did the cut and chat with Bill, and it just absolutely exploded. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because you really are watching one person learn, you know what I mean? And you may be in the same boat as me and you're like, man, what the heck does that machine even do? What do the jigs allow me to do? And it's kind of shown you that the possibilities really are endless, you know what I mean? And Zeke's been doing lapidary a long time, but I think what really helped you guys was watching Douglas do it. You know what I mean? And it instills a sense of confidence and purpose within yourself to be like, man, I can go tackle that. And with the right teachers and stuff, it really does help you out. Like, Bill, we really thank you for your time to come on here and help us. It's truly appreciated. Because now, put a me in the chat how many of you guys have gotten an Intarsia machine after that cut and chat. Because I know I see all of your guys' names and all that stuff. Yeah, Bill, that's all to you, dude. Like 100%. You've had
that's
such an
wonderful.
impact on everyone in this room, and they all really thank you for your time.
I would suggest to everyone that there's a couple names to look up of the real masters of Intarsia. One of them is the only one I think that may still be alive now is Nikolai Medvedev, Russian, of course. The second one is a fellow that I met back in the late 90s. He was a master. In fact, he was let's see, was it Lapidary Journal back when it used to be a really, really good magazine? They had a thing called Rockhound of the Year, and this fellow by the name of Jim Kaufman was selected for that, and he does magnificent work. I don't think he may still be alive, but I don't think he's working. But anyway, his work is, if you Google Nikolai Medvedev and or Jim Kaufman, you'll see some magnificent work in terms of Intarsia pieces for jewelry type. And you want to talk about boxes. There's some boxes there that'll just completely knock your socks off. They're just amazing.
So I
That's it.
posted the link for Nikolai Medvedev there.
Thank you. Yeah.
I totally was not paying attention when I was doing my border because when I was grinding, because one side's way thicker than the other. But I am really liking how this piece is turning out.
Well, as it turns out, you're going to notice it more than anybody else. And once you, if you so choose to set that in some kind of jewelry, those things kind of disappear. Those anomalies just get lost.
I do appreciate when, because I sell way more cabs to jewelers than I ever will make jewelry. I do appreciate when they will do a design that hides things like that.
Yeah. So somewhere, Zeke, what I'll try to do maybe this weekend is I'll get those step pictures to you, or should I send them to you or to Lizelle or both or what?
Probably to Lizelle.
Okay,
She is much more organized on being able to share them with other people.
okay. I will send those to her, and then you guys can disperse them any way you see fit.
Thank you, Bill. We do really appreciate that. I know there's a lot of people that it will really help them to be able to reference a picture. Go back. Right, Alan? It's always planned, you know. These leather wheels are definitely a little bit more grabby when they're brand new. The more I work this, the smoother it's getting, where it doesn't want to grab the piece as much.
So someone asked whether I was on Instagram, and no, I'm not. Just I'm in. It took me a long time just to even get on Facebook, and
So Zeke, John always mentioned this, especially here in the group, that the three element of success in the, especially in the field of lapidary, it's the right information, the right equipment, and the right material. So tonight we have that all three here. So right information from Bill on the Intarsia, we got the right equipment, and we also got the right material here. So there's
I like
no
it.
one stopping everybody to be successful on that part.
That's always a good thing to mention. All right, I'm gonna go wash the cerium off this, and I'll show you guys this piece. I'm so excited to finally get this one done, and this is also the significantly the smallest piece of Intarsia that I've done now. I was getting to a little bit where Jordan was headed of bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah, Intarsia is a funny thing for beginners, particularly because they will tend to grow very quickly, and you don't realize it as you're when you're planning it out, you don't realize how big it's going to get when you add all those borders, and pretty soon
Most definitely.
you end up with where you originally wanted a piece for jewelry, you end up something that will be better suited to sit on the shelf.
That's kind of where Jordan was headed, but so fortunately she wants a really big belt buckle. So I'm like, well, that is a good piece for that.
Yeah.
Get all I adjusted.
I love
Floor
that.
tiles on somebody.
So what was the center material?
Peral agate from Mexico.
Oh,
And then sodalite, and then hyperstein.
yeah.
I love the trying to get the camera to pick it up. All of the stripes kind of point to towards the center. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Light it just a little bit.
Yes, they do.
Man, I am really happy with how that. Oh gosh, not after earlier. That was brutal. We did have fun with that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's go see how we're doing on the saw. And it looks like we're getting close to needing to drain the water.
While you're doing that, I'm going to take a little break.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
One of the things that I find beginning students will have issues with is picking out colors, and I've always been envious of those people. Well, I'll call them the real artists. Oh wow, look at that! The real artists who were able to look at something, visualize it to the extent that they can transform it into another medium. And I'm more of a technician, but anyway, trying to make a short story long again. But for anybody who is color challenged, there is a device out there. See if I can hold this up. It's called a color wheel, and you can get these. I don't know if you can get them at Michael's and Hobby Lobby or not, or certainly at an art supply store. But what it does is it allows you to you select the color. Let me see. It's trying to disappear on me here.
It sold for 85 earlier. Zeke's piece.
Well,
There you go, Bill.
You select the color, and like on this side, it's two-sided. On this side, you select a color like a family, and it will tell you what goes with it. There are there, and the other side, I think it refers to like complementary colors, colors that, well, for one thing, it will help you determine things that really won't go together. But anyway, if you're, it's self-explanatory. The instructions are on it. So if you're at all interested in pursuing that, it's not a very pricey thing, but it might be something to have in your toolbox of ideas.
I love that. I actually didn't know they made like a physical one like that. That's really cool. I've always just like Googled color wheel and just looked at the picture, but that's really cool. I think that'd be great for people to have in their shops.
Yeah. I've always been more of a seat of the pants person. I just kind of go with what kind of looks good, and most cases I've been lucky.
Well, and I think too, if you look at like a lot of the pieces, especially the ones that Bill has done, I think if everybody was to reflect and go, "Oh, that was the one I really liked," it's always where you have really sharp contrast that catches people's eye. If you got too many colors that are similar, it doesn't pop as much. But all the ones that have really sharp contrast, and Bill has got some really great pieces, examples of that. Everybody's like, "Ooh," because that contrast really pops to your eye.
Well, the way I typically will pick out things is I've got a selection of slabs, which I call my palette, and I will take my centerpiece to begin with, and I'll walk over to this array of slabs, and have in one hand I got my slab, in the other hand I got a squirt bottle, and I'll start hosing everything down and matching to see what looks good. And then once I find something that I think looks good, then I'll jump to, well, what's the next border going to be? And I'll do the same thing with that. It's kind of analogous to what you do when if you have a picture and you want to get it framed and matted, you go down to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and they've got a selection of mats there, and you can take your picture and you can do a trial and error with them. Or you can have the person, the professional there, pick out something that will work for sure. But hey, that's cool. Is that the material?
Yeah, that's the first cut off of it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We'll take a setup for a slab, and I think a slab would be enough to do at least the sides of our box. How many turns are you thinking, Bill, on this? 5 turns? This
You
would be
know,
the
I don't
same as your saw.
know. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. 5 would do it.
And then, Bill, there's a question for you in the chat here from one of our team members. What first drew you to Intarsia, and how has your passion evolved over the years?
Well, I started out cabbing like so many people, and I was I guess, well, at the school that I go to, William Holland, on Fridays they have what they call show and tell, where everybody from every class puts their material out, and you get a chance to see what everybody else has done. And up until that point, I did not know anything about Intarsia, except I knew that there was woodworking in Intarsia, but I didn't have any inclination that it could lend itself to work in stone also. So there happened to be an Intarsia class that week, and I saw the show and tell of the Intarsia, and it just kind of opened up my eyes to a whole new world. I mean, I already knew I loved to cut stones, and I was a rock hound. We'd been on a number of trips out west and dug rocks and all that stuff. But to learn what you could do with it to really showcase the rock uh, through the use of Intarsia, that's what got me started. And the instructor was a fellow by the name of Richard Coors, and he was he had designed a machine. In fact, it was one of the machines that John used in conjunction with Al Sasona's machine to come up with this design. Uh, but he got me started, and I consider him kind of my mentor. And I just at the time, I was, of all things, I was teaching wire wrap, making wire wrap jewelry, and I was doing that because I had all these cabs that I tried to figure out what to do with. So I learned how to do wire wrap, and then I started teaching that. And anyway, um, another short story turned into a long one, but I just got more involved in it, and then I started teaching it. And like I said, I've always considered myself a teacher. So it just gave me a lot of gratification to be able to pass it along.
You certainly are a great teacher.
Well, if you ever have an opportunity, any of you out here that to come to the school, it's school like none other. And some of the people that are on the chat, I know have been to the school, and it's quite an experience. But you end up coming away there feeling like you've got a new family.
Did I see that you guys had housing there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything is all inclusive, room and board. They've got, if you're a camper, like we started going there. We had a motorhome at the time, and we just they got a full hookup campground. We just brought our dogs along and stayed in the campground. And but they have full rooms like motel rooms, all the meals.
One of the things I'm trying to talk John and Sherman into, and mostly it's a lack of me not being able to leave, is schedule an HP event there and get a bunch of the people that want to go down, just all go down together because I want to come down and visit you guys too.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we'll make a little bit more progress on this while the saw is cutting.
I see Martha Graziano just spoke up. She's starting to she's going to be teaching cabochons this year.
Oh wow, that's very cool. So just out of curiosity, Bill, you guys do like a week long course, right?
Yes.
So I looked on the website. I don't remember seeing it, but what does it cost to come down for somebody to do like were you staying at the school there and do like a full week of Intarsia?
Uh, I haven't looked this year. I think they
I'm
raised it
looking.
like 20 or $30. They didn't raise it too much. I think it's under 1,000 but that's all meals and all room. That's room and board and tuition. The only thing that additional cost is if whatever the particular class you're taking for materials. Like if you were taking a metalsmithing class, that would be more expensive because of materials. But in my classes, it's just a matter. I encourage people to bring their own rocks, uh, but I'll always have a selection of slabs to work with. But it's generally people can get out of my classes for additional. Well, you I know. I think George Charos, when he comes, he brings a ton of rocks with him, and I don't think he. I think the only cost he had was the cost of the Intarsia kit, which was like $25. Um, so
Yeah, I'm kind of with Martha. I'm like, my goodness, a week for just room and board. I'm like, my goodness, that would cost more than that. Most places just to get a cheap motel.
you cannot go anywhere for vacation and spend for room and board and at that cost. Um,
Yeah, that's a really great price.
There's a lot of different stuff that you can learn here, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at it right now.
yeah, they keep adding material, and they brought in some real world class people. There's some real spectacular lapidary people. I know Jeff Fulkerson. He's teaches there now. Um, he's a renowned silversmith and lapidary. Um, Bruce McKay. Um, trying to think.
Yeah, they're all names I've heard, but I don't think I know any of them personally.
Yeah, um, and they've got a host of metalsmith people. Some real heavy hitters there. Uh,
Yeah, well, that should be just about perfect on every side too. Yeah, it feels really good. You can definitely appreciate the price tag on some of those really intricate Intarsia boxes where every face is, got pattern, where someone's assembled pieces and then done the whole, they're like a 6-sided box.
Yeah.
So for people at home, when I'm doing this edge right here, where I've got it pressed against the 90-degree jig and I'm pushing it into the wheel, would you have them pencil each edge like this face right here that I'm grinding to check to make sure that's perfect 90?
Yeah. Yes. And for anybody who doesn't have the fence on there, what you can do is scribe out your square and make real sure that it is a real square. And that's why I suggest using a template if you have one, or you can scribe it out manually, but then use your calipers to make sure it's squared up, and then grind to those lines. Very carefully grind to those lines. The fence makes it easier. The other thing you can do, really, if you so choose, is you can just temporarily either clamp, or you can. Some people have actually glued a piece of material to the table to act as a fence.
I see what you're saying. So this is actually a perfect example right there. You can see you want to make sure you don't wipe it off. This is the one time
Yeah.
where you actually look at it wet. You can see, because I covered that whole face in pencil, you can see this corner down here still has pencil on it, and this is all ground away. If you just took this and glued it up, because it visually, most people I doubt could see that there's not a difference, or that there's a difference there. I doubt anybody really with their eyes say that that's not, like, to most people that's going to look pretty perfect. But with the pencil, it allows you to see that we would have a gap there if we glued this to another flat surface,
Yeah.
because the pencil has not been ground away. And so what Bill will teach is that you grind this, and when that pencil's gone, we'll put pencil on it again, and then we'll do a really light grind to make sure that it takes the pencil off.
Yeah, Martha just mentioned the Lazadro Museum. They've got some pretty amazing Intarsia there. What we're doing here is all linear, straight line Intarsia, whereas some of the classical stuff like Renaissance Intarsia, where they've actually done pictures. That's some of the stuff you'll see in the museums, like the Lazadro. Another one is the Getty Museum out in California.
You can see still just a little bit further to go. That bottom corner right there, not quite in alignment with the rest of it. And really the importance of this step right here is, if you look at Bill's pieces, the pictures we were showing, you can really appreciate how most of them, like, you can't see that there's a seam there at all. Like, I was looking at some of them, and even with an idea of how they were put together, I could not find a seam. So if you want that seamless, where it looks like it's one continuous piece kind of look, you really got to be good about making sure your faces are perfect.
Especially if you're going to polish with cerium.
Well, so you can see that area with the pencil on it is getting smaller and smaller. The downside to doing the pencil test is if that's your low spot, that means you got to take off the whole rest of the area, which sometimes can why it feel like it takes a long time. Is because you have to remove material off the entire rest of the area where the pencil's not to get it to go down.
Somebody asked how many students in class. In my classes, for the Intarsia classes anyway, it there'll either be 6 or 8 maximum, and it depends on the classroom. And one of the classrooms I can get 8 people in there, whereas the other one that there's only 2 of the rooms that are suitable for Intarsia. Many of the rooms, particularly in that area of the classroom building, are multi-purpose, and they teach all kinds of silversmithing, and they casting and various lapidaries in there. So it's kind of sometimes it's first come first serve for instructors picking a classroom. So either 6 or 8 it was the answer to the question. And that's a good size for a learning environment like that.
It also makes it easier on you to manage a class of that size too.
Yeah, but you know what, Jordan, it's interesting. In most cases, and I'll say in 80% of the cases, is I start out these classes. I will start Monday morning and I will do a little demo, whereas I will square up a centerpiece. I'll get a couple borders on, just demonstrate that process, and then I'll back off and let everybody run with it. And that seems to work out real well. Most everybody in the class has some lapidary experience. If there's a prerequisite of either having a cabochon class or the equivalent, and and that's mainly just to make sure you're not afraid of the equipment and know how to use it properly. And I found that in most cases, it's I just let people run with it, and then they'll ask questions, and we'll proceed through the whole week like that. And I'll move around, check on everybody, but in most cases, it's I'm not a helicopter type instructor, and I think they appreciate that.
Neither am I. That's how we kind of teach here too. You know what I mean? From anything from like kind of teaching how to set up your computer to when we teach them anything here in the lab, like mostly Zeke. I think a lot of people work that way, and it's also goes to show as a teacher too, it reflects off of you when people are comfortable enough to come and ask you a question. You know what I mean? Like here, me and Zeke have people come up and ask us for clarity on stuff all the time, and that's a reflection of how you make them feel comfortable in the space doing something that they've never learned before.
Yes. Good point. I was just looking at the machine there, and on the side of the machine, there's those 4 little screws to hold that top part of the cowling on.
Uh-huh.
Well, I had problems with those little bitty screws because I'm a little bit heavy-handed and I kept dropping them. So what I ended up doing was I went down to the hardware store and I ordered some, or I bought some little, um, well, that thing that is right near your pointer finger in the center of the lap. That
Yeah.
screw, I ordered 4 of those uh, in place of the little slot headed screws, and that's so much easier. That I don't have to fight trying to get the screwdriver in the slot and keeping it in there because I just use an Allen screw. And for anybody that's listening, it's a size size 10, 32, 32 threads per inch. It's a 1032 and it's a half-inch long. And it's stainless steel, and it works great. And it's so much easier because you do end up
Have
having,
your
if you use that machine frequently, you're going to have to be pulling that cowling off to clean it because the debris builds up down there in that flat surface. So that's the easiest way for me anyway to clean it.
I do like that suggestion. I actually was thinking the other day about suggesting to John to maybe change those out with um put like a wing nut style head on top of the screw.
That's what I wanted to look for, but I couldn't find those, so I settled for these. But if you find the wing nut, that'd be super. Then you wouldn't have to
Well,
worry.
I could probably get John to make those for us over there
Well,
in
yeah,
the factory. So
yeah.
I'm gonna say Bill said, because I make a lot of requests to John, that it would be great if we had some wing nut head screws for those. Jordan harasses me a lot because Jordan hears this far too often. Is I should get John to design this.
No, 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 no. We're gonna tell it right. Zeke will run into a problem, and it's not a huge problem. It's just like, oh, it's like the littlest bit inconvenient here, and he goes,
It's
man,
not.
I wonder if I'm gonna get John to make a machine for that. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, just call John up and like, yeah, John, make this machine for me to solve this problem. And John's like, yeah, dude, do you know how much other stuff I got on my plate right now?
I think it's a little bit more in between what I described and what Jordan described, but not a minor inconvenience. If there's just, a faster way to do something, I want a machine for it.
Oh my. John's trying to get manuals and everything, and then Zeke's like, hey, John, can you make this thing for me real quick?
So let's see, we got a little bit of pencil over there. Well, that's the great part is if John builds it, and it's something that, I'm like, man, that'd be a great machine to have, and John agrees to build it, that probably means that just about everybody's going to want one. Because John will not build senseless stuff. I mean, John rejects a lot of my ideas, so if I give an idea to John and John likes it enough to actually build it, it's probably something that a lot of people are going to want.
Alrighty, Wallace, that link that I put in the chat in reply to your comment, um, is a video of Zeke installing the Everclean onto one of the saws. If that video helps, that's delightful. If it doesn't help, I can give you a call.
Was that for Wallace?
Yeah, for the Everclean. Yeah, you're welcome, Wallace. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing. We need to once we're caught up on the shipments. Zeke and I have a lot of stuff that we want to get out for you guys. Like the manuals are very, very important. Like for me, I'm very much a manual person, um, and all that kind of stuff to have it. And I file my manuals and everything like that. And Zeke and John don't need manuals, so it's very different. But that's kind of important, and it'll be easier if they just do it all in one go and get them done. Um, but for Zeke and I, we want to get like a lapidary hardness thing done. Um, we want to get what you need to polish certain materials, and all that kind
Well,
of cool chart and schedule stuff.
Yeah, with the hardness, I don't want to just make like a Mohs hardness scale. I want to actually come up with that's a much more complex issue because I want to
No,
come
I
up with
know.
a relative hardness. Because I'm sure you've run into this too, Bill, where you'll take something like a corundum crystal that's a 9 on the Mohs hardness scale, and it grinds way faster than taking a piece of mookaite and grinding it down.
Isn't that odd?
Right? So I'm like, lapidary really needs a relative hardness. Okay, how much? And I'm kind of thinking about if you guys have ever watched the lubrication test, where they'll take different lubrications and they'll take a bearing and they'll see how much each lubrication prevents grind marks on a bearing. And I was thinking, how great would it be to build one of those machines and test different materials so you had a relative hardness?
Yeah.
But that's kind of a more complex, eventual kind of thing. That's definitely not a let's just whip that up. Now, of course, I
I
went
know.
and
I'm
wiped the
just
pencil off.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's on our long list of things that have been requested of us. How to test stones for identification. That one, I'm inclined for that to be something as a pop-up on the website for you guys. Where it's kind of like a flashcard thing or maybe like a multiple choice thing. It's forever down the road, but I'm just thinking like the easiest way um for you guys to kind of get that um for that, like maybe some kind of test booklet to identifying different kind of stones.
Be an
That way
awful
you
big
have it.
booklet.
It would be a huge booklet. Well, I don't know. I learned with flashcards, but also here I didn't have the option to use flashcards. I was just packing the rock and reading the labels, so that's how I learned. But you guys obviously aren't going to learn like that, so
Well, there are two that are perfectly flat, or perfectly square. Not Jordan square, but good enough. This is actually why Jordan and I work so well together because I'm so fine with the change and switching directions. And Jordan's got a lot more discipline and let me stay on one task and finish.
what about the pen conversation the other day, Zeke?
The pen conversation.
When you signed it in a totally different pen, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And we were writing. I wrote this card out, Zeke's like, "I need you to write this note," and I was like, "Okay." I wrote the note out, signed it, and everything, and it's all in like a nice blue pen. At the end, and I saved a spot. I did all the hard work, and I just saved a spot for Zeke to write his name. Right? Zeke comes over and pulls his different color pen out, and my OCD is running rampant. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, Zeke." I'm like, please just use the blue pen. He was like, no, this is what I like. And I was like, oh my goodness, you just ruined the whole paper. So I rewrote over his black ink in blue ink. And that kind of describes how Zeke and I are perfectly. Like that one interaction, and I have the note right here, and I'm just looking, and and it's the one thing I see. It's like that scratch that's on my island egg, and I'm like, I know it's there, and I can never unsee it now. So things like that, Zeke, he leaves little trails and stuff. So,
A unique little mark on the world.
but you guys, if you guys watch live sales, that's how me and Zeke are. We are we are very different, but we work so well together. He can sign his name Jack. I don't know that I've seen him write much other than that in lapidary stuff, but Zeke's very intelligent, so I have faith.
That is definitely areas where sometimes the homeschooling gets to me. Identify a rock or make a something immaculate, but handwriting is definitely low on the list of things that I'm good at.
Well, you got better at the handwriting, and you've actually, like, not that it wasn't legible, but it's a lot better now. Yeah, it's a good
It's really
thing.
more if I think other people are going to see it or not, because I can like sit there and be very meticulous and write it out nice and neat. But if it's just for me, it's very doctor note looking.
Oh yes, that is why I'm single and I'm certainly not getting married soon because I'm way too independent for someone right now, and I like to stay on my own path, and I'm very driven with what I like to do. So when I feel the need to not be like that, I'm sure everyone will know. But I don't know. I like my career, and I like the independence that John and Sherman give me, and I think I'm very fortunate to have that. So I want to embrace that while I have it.
All right. Well, we got this washed up, a much thinner and slightly not as hard material. So let's take another stab at this. And I like when Bill makes things easy for us, and so, like, Zeke, you got templates. You could just go over and grab one of the square templates and mark that on there instead of using the calipers to make a square. So let me see. I'm pretty sure I got square templates here. And I do appreciate you guys bearing with us through the change of events. Let's see. Well, they got round edges, but that's a little bit bigger than a square or 1 inch. So I think that square right there will do us good.
Jordan, you need to get a set of square templates for Christmas. Oh, it's too late.
It's okay. Oh well, it's a good thing they extended the sale, so. But yeah, we definitely do. I'll look at that for sure. And then there's a question for you, Bill. Hey Bill, have you ever made a jig out of scrap rock or wood to hold tiny pieces against the lap? I've got 3 to 5 millimeter pieces I'm cutting a bunch of, and holding them down and against the wheel is tricky.
Well, I've never made a jig, but I frequently will use oh, that's Karen. I frequently will use uh, I'll grab a slab or something to use as a pusher to get a uh, uniform force across it. And this is particularly true if you're working with a real thin border piece and your fingers just can't get down into where they need to get. So a little nice squared off slab used as a pusher will work fine. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but I've seen people use everything from pencil erasers to anything to not sacrifice their fingernails and fingertips.
Yeah, that was one of the other things I was looking at, and what I think I want to request of John eventually is to do a kind of like, imagine a screwdriver handle and a little like kind of notch like you would have in a woodworking tool to push a board through the saw without getting your hand close. So it's got kind of like a little notch in it and like a screwdriver handle, so you can take and push down and in, and make it like a nice little tool for people.
Yeah.
Because I was debating about this the other day and be like, all right, how do I make it convenient for people? Because of course, there's always two trains of thought from people. There's the people like me generally that I'm like, all right, I can make it happen by holding it, and the people that are like, oh, that kind of hurts my hand. I don't want to do that. I want something nice. Got my template to move there. All right. Well, I think we can plenty enough squeeze our four sides out of there. So I don't know what happened to the aluminum piece that we use. This is just a brass screw that I took to the cab machine and sharpened the end of, and it gives us a nice gold color metallic. And I like that it reflects so that when there's water on here, and you can see this, it doesn't wipe off when you have it on there. It reflects, so when it's wet or oily, you can see the reflection. Well, and there's the other thing too to think about of people that have like arthritis or other limiting factors that cannot physically necessarily hold it. It's not even a strength issue; it's just not a possibility for them. And so it's always like, how do you build something to accommodate as many people as possible?
Zeke, what do you use? A brass pencil, you said, or a brass something?
There's just a brass screw. But if you're interested in one, you can message anybody with an HPL in their name, and they will help get you a deal on one.
I think Zeke's using that ultra thin blade on that, right, Zeke?
Yeah, this is the 20,000 thin continuous rim blade. But Bill, that was significantly easier using, even with the rounded edges, square template than what I was doing with the calipers earlier.
Well, good.
And Zeke, I envy Bill in this situation because you actually listened to him.
Wow.
I listen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I need to step out of the room so you guys can talk.
No, it's
that's so
I
funny.
just love seeing someone that can tame Zeke. It is awesome.
So over dramatic.
No.
This is going to be a really great material for Intarsia too, to cut borders out of that creamy orange yellowy color.
Yeah.
Little,
Yeah.
like, man, I must have saved little scraps off of this to use as borders.
Yeah, that would have been good for Douglas. He loves the orange. Bill, what advice would you give to someone who wants to turn Intarsia into a lifelong pursuit?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to type something up. I think the only advice that is it's not specific at all. I think in any profession, you just need to practice, 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 and depend. I mean, to me, this is kind of a lifelong pursuit for me, but I'm not doing it as a job. I mean, I used to have a job, but I didn't want another one. I'm doing it for fun mainly, but so for me, this has kind of turned into a lifelong pursuit, but it's not a monetarily lucrative pursuit. Um, there are very, very few people that make a lot of money making Intarsia. Um, and I think that's probably true of a lot of lapidaries. Um, it's not a notably lucrative profession, but you can combine it with other things and make it into something. Uh, I mean, you can, instead of just cutting cabs and selling cabs. I mean, there's how many all-star cab makers and sellers are there out there that are really making a living selling cabs? Probably not too many, particularly since they can get them so inexpensively from other locations around the world. Um, but if you want to combine it with something, if you want to take, in this case, Intarsia and um, turn it into jewelry, or possibly turn it into boxes. I don't know how many people really want to buy boxes. Um, um,
I think the really good news for anybody that's thinking about making Intarsia, something that maybe is potentially a lifelong career, is that right now we're seeing a massive uptick. Not even just in Highland Park. If you just look at Facebook in general, there's a massive uptick of people doing Intarsia right now, which is really good because that tells me that it's becoming more and more popular. And the bigger it gets, the more opportunities there will be for people to, make a living doing Intarsia.
yeah. Well, there's two people that I'm aware of that are either on the chat now or frequently, and George Charles is one, and Karin Lucas is another. They're both very accomplished jewelers as well as accomplished lapidaries, and I think they've turned those two passions into something that into a profession that's a worthwhile profession. And George has just got into Intarsia and is starting to combine that with his jewelry.
On this piece, Bill, I have a question for you quick here. It's got this little chip out of the corner. Is that small enough that if I bevel this edge, that I will take that out? Or would you be like, you got to grind that out?
No, I think that'd be the way I would attack it first, and hopefully it doesn't chip anymore.
Perfect. And I got to grind my other piece in a little bit because it's a little too big now.
Then, Bill, I got a question for you, actually. What piece of yours took the longest? Like, what is the longest amount of time you spent on one singular Intarsia piece?
The quilt squares. The let's see if I can put this particular pattern. This is one I did out of dino bone. Let me see if I can get it to display.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
I love that one.
Well, see, that's kind of a little tricky too, because I had not done well. This was the second piece I did. The first piece I did out of palm wood, and it was a little bit larger than this one, and it took several days because I was kind of feeling my way through it. This one I had the methodology down, so it went a lot quicker. So it's when you're prototyping, it always takes you a little bit longer to do those. But once you get a pattern down, I mean, if you want to crank out things assembly line style, then I think you could get pretty good at it, you go pretty fast.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, if you had to make one, I mean, I know that's not really your thing, is like having to do it, but if you had to make one, how long do you think it would take you?
Make one what?
One of the like that dino bone piece where it's a quilt
quilt.
pattern.
Well, since I have the methodology down. Well, let's see.
Zeke, when purchasing a new 6-inch Intarsia machine, do you have a suggested list of different fixture jigs and lap grits and or parts supplies to hit the ground running making pieces? Let me.
Well, for the price, if you're considering more than just like the 90-degree jig, I would just get the whole jig set, especially right now where you're going to get the discount. However, as Bill has demonstrated, that you can actually get away with making quite a bit without a jig at all. If you're going to do a jewelry box, especially, you're going to want the jig set, though. From what I have, very little Intarsia that I've done now, the laps that I would buy if I was going to order one from my shop would be the 180 grit, some 260 grit, and some 325 grit. And the reason I go as high as 325 is because if I was going to do something like opal or turquoise, I'd want something a lot finer. Does that sound like a fair statement, Bill?
Yeah. My go-to is a 260 as an alternative. So somebody asked me how long I've been retired from my career. Well, I've been doing this. Let me see, about 30, a little over 30 years. So I've been out since then.
All right. Now, these little slabs are not all quite the same size. Is that going to be problematic?
They need to be the same size in a couple dimensions anyway. I mean, they can.
All right. Let's see. Because I got that. That's about, if I just flatten them, that's about the difference. That's a pretty good difference.
As
throughout
long
the
as
piece.
as long as those irregularities are going to stick out on the top of the box, that'll be all right. But the other three sides need to be.
Well, the other three sides actually might be pretty close. Let me check. Yeah, it's enough that I gotta fix them. Now, I am past my marks on here. So doing this the way that would make sense to me would be to take the one that's got the smallest face on there, check it, and a lot of good calipers have a little place where you can lock the thing there, and now you have a kind of a template of where you can check against. Is there anything that you would recommend different for that?
No, I think you're.
Bill, do you do your own silversmithing for your pieces?
That piece, I did not do that. That was a collaboration with another instructor at school, but generally I do. Yes, I enjoy silversmithing.
Very nice. Now we
Yes,
can.
I can. Yeah.
So when Bill was talking about just do two borders at a time, he's talking about opposite from each other or parallel. Although if you have a funky shaped piece, it's just going to be too opposite from each other. They don't
Well,
necessarily have to be parallel.
more specifically, what I'm saying is you're going to take this square, you're going to put 4 borders on, but you're not going to try to grind in all 4 of them at the same thickness at the same time. You're going to pick, say, the top and the bottom, and you're going to grind those down to the thickness that you want that border to be. Okay, and you're going to leave the adjacent 2 sides. You're not going to try to grind those yet. So you're going to grind down the top and the bottom borders, and then you're going to attach your second border, or I guess it could be the outer frame, the second border anyway. And
So
then
Bill's talking about doing that and that before you start here and
Yes.
here.
In fact, here, do what you did with that little illustration there. Start at the top and the bottom. You're going to do that and that. Okay, take the white piece off. No, and then put that on the adjacent sides. This is getting quite confusing. I can see that now. Because you're going to have 4. You're going to start out. You're going to put 4 of the blue borders on, and then you're going to, in this case, you're going to go to the top and the bottom, and you're going to grind those until they were the right width, the width that you want them to be, and they're equal. But you're going to ignore the blue borders that you've put on the adjacent sides for now. Okay, so now you've got the top and the bottom ground down to the perfect thinness that you want. Then you're going to attach your next border, in the case that they had the white one, and put that on top of the bottom, attach them, and then rotate it 90 degrees, and then grind those tails off of those borders. And at that point in time, then you're going to work on the blue borders on those adjacent sides. You're going to bring those down to the same thickness of the top and the bottom blue borders. I'm sure that sounds confusing without pictures. I'm used to standing up at a chalkboard, and boy, that shows my age. Chalkboard, wow. There we go.
All right, so if you're starting with a square,
Yeah,
and you're going to follow the process that Bill is talking about. But he's saying, so imagine we grind this piece down, and then we're going to start attaching borders. We're going to attach one there, and we're going to attach one there. Then we're going to go and attach our next one there, and our next one there.
No.
No? Okay.
No. You're okay for a while.
All right.
Okay.
Start again.
Put
There and there.
and go ahead and put them on the sides now.
All right, we'll put there and there.
Okay.
And then you repeat that same process.
Now you would now you would work on the top and the bottom to get them to the thickness that you want.
You're grinding it down the right. You're talking about the border thickness.
Yeah. The border thickness on the top and the border thickness on the bottom. You're going to grind it down to the thickness that you want, your target thicknesses. But you're going to, for now, you're going to ignore those 2 side pieces. Okay, once you get those 2, the top and the bottom, ground down to to the proper thickness, then you're going to attach that second border and rotate it 9 degrees. And now you're going to grind your adjacent. Yeah, you're going to grind those down so that the thickness of the blue that's still remaining on there is now the thickness of the blue of the original top and the bottom.
So if you were going to do that as steps, you'd have your square as your step 1, and then you'd have 2 and 3, and then 4 and 5. And then you'd come back and you'd go 6. Nope. I don't know why I put a Z. 7, 8, 9.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Except you're going to grind 4 and 5 before you put 8 and 9 on.
Well, yeah, I don't have more colorful Sharpie choices. We'll do another Intarsia night where we do a piece so you guys can follow along. Before we get everybody so confused.
I'm sorry, folks. The only way to describe this is for me to stand up. Maybe I need to make a video on this. It's a subtle point. Once you see it done, you say, "Oh yeah, well that makes sense." But trying to describe it, it's like what the three blind men trying to figure out describe what the elephant is. And old joke.
That's so funny. Get everybody even more lost, you know.
So I apologize, folks. I just that's a hard one to describe. Get Zeke a box of crayons.
Need more color options. It's definitely something that feels a lot more complicated to explain than it is to actually just do.
You're exactly right. So I'm making some notes here, some things I got to do. I'm going to get some step pictures to you guys, and I'll come up with some kind of a video to describe this.
That's very sweet, Bill. Thank you.
I do really appreciate that.
In case anybody doesn't know, I've got about 4 or 5 videos out there. One of them, or the first 2 are on basic Intarsia. One of them is a little bit more comprehensive. It talks about drilling holes into stones and inserting different kinds of stones inside, stone on stone type. Couple ways to do that, and then the other 2 are strictly on the Intarsia machine. Just I did an unboxing, and then I did some details on the care and feeding of the machine.
I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of you doing the unboxing and setting up the Intarsia machine video. So many people, that's pretty much what everybody references for us when we do the, they get a new Intarsia machine. I was so happy that you did that.
Are those up on YouTube, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. I'll grab the link for you guys and I'll put them in the chat for you.
Yeah, my channel is the Old Rockhound. emphasis on old.
All right, these are all pretty close now, I think. You know, one thing, it definitely feels more challenging getting them perfect with the thinner slabs. I don't know if that's just perceived or if you feel the same.
I'm sorry, I was reading. What was your?
I was just making a general statement of it. It feels a little bit more challenging with the thinner slabs to get them as perfect.
Oh, I don't know.
I was just curious if you felt the same thing, or I was just thinking if I was brand new, something of this hardness of material, or even a little bit softer, and maybe not as thin as slabs as the very first one, but.
Well, I started cutting thin slabs for two reasons. One of them is because, well, to preserve rock, really, because you don't have to grind as much away. Because typically your Intarsia piece, if you think about it, most of them are the target is to be put in jewelry. So you don't want a big heavy rock hanging around your neck. So you want to make it as thin as possible, still be structurally intact. So if you start with something thin, you don't have to grind as much, and it just works out better that way.
So, Bill, I'm going through your video of unboxing the INT8. I love the Santa bucket hat that you got on at the end of that.
Yeah, the other reason I like to cut them thin is typically most of the slabs I cut are for borders anyway. Hey, look at there. Look at that, gang.
We're making progress.
Perfect.
It does make a big difference. That other material, having thick and hard, does make it go really long.
Yeah.
Zeke, are we going to be selling any of the thin slabs on the live sales? I don't know that we'll be having. We won't do just slabbing of those.
No, I mean, of course, when I get overzealous and slab stuff and we have extras, we'll sell them. But as a general rule, that's not something we're going to offer a lot of, because it's so much more affordable in the long run, at least, to just sell you a saw and let you cut your own thin slabs. And that also gives you a lot more options, too. It's something that, like, if we got a lot more capacity, we might eventually get to, but it is definitely a lot more affordable in the long run, to get your own saw.
Get a thin line blade, though.
Yeah, actually, Bill probably would like one of the new blades more. Lizelle?
I was going to say,
Jordan,
let's get Bill a new blade.
Get Bill one of the new continuous trim blades and that new vise.
Okay, you got it, yeah. Let me message Lizelle.
You just add that to that'll be a different shipment, but
how's it different from the original thin line? Because it's a workhorse.
So the original thin line is what I say is kind of the budget version of this new blade. The new blade is a lot more free cutting because it's a better diamond segment. and so it actually gives you a smoother, better cut. You'll actually hear it when you put it on the saw. If you really listen, you'll hear it's quieter when it's cutting because it's a lot less blade pressure.
Huh.
Bill, you have a 6-inch trim?
6-inch or 8?
Oh, the trim saw 6,
Or for the 14 you're talking, Zeke?
the 14, the 14.
I'll say give
Both?
Bill both. Give him one
Yeah.
of the ultra thin 6-inch
Okay.
and a continuous rim 14.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Lizelle,
Of
I sent you the SKUs.
Yep.
Now this is definitely going to be the next tricky part.
Lizelle, why don't you throw a couple calendars on there for Bill too?
Yep. And what's your
I'll get
favorite
those
color, Bill? Blue, silver, or green?
Blue.
Okay.
All right,
Got it.
put one of those on there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Look at there. It's spectacular.
Oh, there
Thank
you go,
you.
Zeke.
Oh, coming along. It definitely made a big difference. I could definitely see the error of the choice from earlier with how long that piece was taking. Because it was ground in like crazy fast.
Now, I'll jump ahead just a little bit. For your bottom, you have a choice, and you're not going to do that yet, but you can do a bottom that is inserted into the hole, which you have to do a little bit of trial and error cutting to get that in there, or you can just put a butt up a bottom on it, and then grind off the edges, and that's the easiest way. And with that material you're working with, it's not going to make that much difference visually anyway. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was just thinking. See, the really complex part of me wants to bevel the inner edge of all of those and make it so it slides in perfectly. But I was just trying to think of how to make that practical. Where you
lid.
bevel. Well, I was thinking the bottom, beveling this edge so that it sits in perfectly.
Sure. Yeah.
That's going to make a much harder glue up, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
What the heck? Let's try it. I'm all for experimentation.
But you have to make sure that the dimensions of the box, they may not be quite the same dimension as your sides.
Oh, you're right. That's where it's going to be really challenging because then you'll never be able to get it to fit in. Every side would have to be really perfect to make that fit.
Yeah.
All right, for this one, we're going to glue the flat bottom. And when I have a little bit more practice, we're going to make one perfect and insert that in when it's a perfect, so it bevels perfectly on the bottom. I have visions, but I'm seeing the error of where we're at in this process to do what I'm talking about. All right. Now, Bill had normally said that when he does this step here, you would take and epoxy these, which is going to give you a lot more time. And then you're going to put, well, you'd have to put double this hair tie around.
Yep. I use rubber bands, but we're using the.
Oops.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trick.
Now, for the sake of
I don't.
what we're gonna do. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask you what you thought about just super gluing these and just doing one edge at a time. Because there's no way you're gonna super glue it and get the rubber band on there.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and give it a roll.
All right, we'll try it. Let me grab it.
For the listening audience, what I normally do is I epoxy these. It gives it the necessary strength, and it allows you to manipulate this around. When you're getting those mitered corners together, they want to slide around on you. So once you get the rubber bands wrapped around it, and you got that slippery epoxy, um, gives you the flexibility to move it around to where everything is uniform.
We're definitely going to have to play more with the boxes. I'm finding this to be a lot more of a challenge than how do you clean the epoxy off the inside when you after you're done gluing?
Well, and technically, if you wanted to be a purist, you would have polished the insides of the box first.
I can definitely see how that would be an important step because that'd be quite the challenge afterwards. Do you normally polish the boxes when you do it? Or the inside?
I've done about half and half because a lot of mine were like prototype pieces. Uh, it's like polishing the other thing when you're doing open Intarsia pieces with voids in them, blank areas. You need to polish the inside of those borders first.
I actually, for just holding it with super glue, I'm pretty happy with how
Yeah.
that edge looks.
The important is to get the inside edge. The outside is not so important because you'll grind that off.
I'm also taking this opportunity right now to wipe the excess glue out of the seam there.
And
This is definitely not.
Is that the gel super glue?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple different variations of gel. One of them actually gives you, I think, like up to 15 seconds of working time.
This one says 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's typical for the gels, I think.
I definitely, now that I'm getting to the fourth face, see why you do this all in one go.
Yeah. Well, this is how you learn, and everybody gets taught.
It's true. You don't really know what you need until you don't really have it. Like when I sliced my finger open, I didn't realize I had no first aid stuff. So I'm like, oh, I do need band-aids for my apartment. And it's the same thing here. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna need to get some rubber bands here. So it's good here for you guys too that are just getting started. In the Intarsia, you can start adding to your list. Like I see Ed all the time writing stuff down. And every time Ed asks for a location, he puts his head down, he's writing down what I said. You know what I mean? So it's really helpful for you guys too in that aspect.
How's it look?
It looks like I really understand why you do it the way you do it now, but for first attempt, I am happy.
Well, from
You
a
know,
distance,
so you can definitely see it's not as lined up on the edges.
well,
One of
don't
the
worry
things
about
that
are the joints tight though?
this one is pretty far off because of the glue. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not great.
But I mean, do you have any gaps in there?
There's a little bit.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. I see now. Yeah.
You can see this is clearly the first one I did because it's nice and tight, and then as you get to the very last one, you can see how it shifts. That's one of the
Yeah.
important things of what Bill is saying with the rubber bands is that equal pressure around them is going to squeeze them into the right place. I can really see that now.
Somebody with a lot of engineering and technical knowledge and maybe a machine shop could come up with a jig for that.
Yeah, you'd normally use 5-minute epoxy for this step. I wanted to at least get through the basic process with you guys, which is why I chose to do super glue. So, because it at least gives you an idea of what needs to be done. But we didn't have any rubber bands. But normally you'd take like a rubber band and put that around there. And that's going to pull them all into place. Because it's squeezing all those miter joints into place.
And as cumbersome as that may appear, it actually works pretty well.
This is a hair scrunchie because it turns out we don't have rubber bands here. I did not occur to me that we would need rubber bands for this project. So I kind of like the parchment paper. It'll be here for next time, or the wax paper. So on the next step for this bill would be to grind the bottom flat to make sure that when we glue that face is perfect.
Yes.
All right. We'll knock that out quick, and then we'll go grab that next slab out of the saw. That should be done by now. I'm actually going to use the 6-inch machine, that one, because I've been grinding in the same spot with that jig has got. You can feel the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little chip in.
I'll tell you, with Intarsia, if you do it much, especially with hard material, you're going to go through some laps.
Now, on grinding this, how would you necessarily pencil check that? Yeah, I mean, the same way, or?
Yeah.
Alright, well, our edge is flat now. And I don't know why I was holding up here. It occurred to me that I could just put the flat face on the deck there. So I did that, and that would make it a lot easier. And I'm going to mark the top, though. Now, on doing the bottom, is this kind of like doing the backing for the Intarsia piece? It doesn't much matter. You're just going to do it a little oversized and then grind it in?
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, I think you're going to be real pleased with the result. I mean, the funny thing about an Intarsia, it seems like, is that it can have flaws, technical flaws. Yet once you get it all polished and done, it'll look spectacular.
Or even
Or
if
a
you
cab
just bought a
machine.
cab machine, anything that'll take one of the laps. All right.
Yeah.
That'll be our bottom piece.
Yeah. And you don't even have to put a lid on it. You can just make it call it a paper clip holder.
I like it. I am definitely the one to do the all the way to making a hinged lid.
There you go. All right.
I actually have made a few jewelry boxes before out of stone, never in tarsia like this. The first one I did is I had a couple, this was when I was a kid, they had swam across the lake together, and the guy had decided to propose, and so he picked up kind of a fist-sized chunk of limestone, and we took that and cut it in half, and then hollowed out with little core bits, the center and grinding bits, and lined it with felt, and then put a hinge on there so that he could put his engagement ring for the girl he's posing to in there.
Ah, how big was it?
It was maybe the whole thing was maybe fist size,
Okay.
and then it was hollowed out enough, just enough. He gave me the ring so that we could stick it in there and make sure it was hollowed out just enough for the ring.
Yeah. Speaking of putting felt on the inside, you could do that with this too.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I was wondering how big it was because I was wondering what size hinge you use, but if it was that large, you probably didn't have trouble finding it anywhere.
We went to Home Depot and they had these really little hinges. It was maybe a centimeter wide
Yeah.
by half a centimeter deep, and so because it was so big, it wasn't a problem. We just used a really strong adhesive, and I cut the screws so that we could glue the screws in, so it looked like it was screwed in.
Yeah.
There we go. No, mark the back. Need to get in the habit of doing that. It's good advice from Bill that needs to be listened to. So how would you go about making a insert in there like you had on the one that you showed us?
Uh, well, what I did was I took a piece of paper. You know how you do the people go around and do tracings of uh, gravestones.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's kind of what I did was I put a piece of paper in there, and then I took a pencil and I very gently rubbed around all the way around it till I was able to pick up the edges. The edges were more pronounced, and then that gave me the rough dimensions that I needed, and then I just transferred that onto to a slab, and I cut it purposely a little bit larger, and then I just, like I say, I kind of took it to the Intarsia machine and did a little trial and error. Or you could do it like that.
So you just gave me a really good idea before I glue this.
Probably works better with something besides a carpenter's pencil.
Right. That's a little oversized from that. Should be pretty close.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. We're making progress. I really do have a much greater appreciation for those boxes. Like when you go to Tucson and you see the really, really high end ones wherever that's got so much intricate detail.
Yeah. Well, the kind of well, if you can go on YouTube and see over in Southeast Asia, they make a lot of those boxes, and they have videos of the artisans making them, and it's fascinating. I always love to watch it because, over here we have all of our fancy tools, and they're working with the most rudimentary tools and just turning out magnificent work.
Yeah, I was gonna be surprised if we had
I know.
extras coming in. They've been very popular.
I was like, that's not right.
Bill, you've definitely made a significant impact on the amount of Intarsia workers in the world.
Well, good. I've really enjoyed it. I've noticed an uptick in the pieces that have shown up on Facebook, and it's been a real pleasure to see some of the work.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Even like not even just like our group, like every group, I've been seeing a lot more Intarsia lately. All right. Well, there we go.
So now
So
pretend it's a big honking funny shaped cab.
I was just gonna ask, should we make the lid for this, or should we go polish this?
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, if you want to make a lid for it, yeah, go ahead.
I figure we might as well at least get through the process. Jordan, do you have a set of scissors? Actually, never mind. I can use my knife.
You didn't buy
you
the
need
paperclip deal, huh?
I didn't what?
You didn't buy the paperclip deal?
I figured we would go with the just finish the whole process. That way, if people can get started playing on making these themselves.
I'm sorry, Zeke, I missed it. What are you cutting right now?
Just a piece of paper. I was gonna ask you have scissors, but I was like, I got a knife.
Yes, I do have scissors next time you need that.
That's really close, actually. Or something that'll just slip right in there. And since we're already gluing things up, I'll just glue it right to the slab, because we gotta polish that anyway. That's probably a bit much super glue for gluing the paper on there. There we go. Now we just grind that right in.
Now, explain to me exactly what you're doing.
This is the part that goes inside the box. That's funny, Terry. So I just cut out a piece because I marked it with the pencil, and then I made the paper just kind of fit real close. And so we're just going to take that and use that as a makeshift template.
Okay. And
So
then-
this will be the little insert that goes onto what I assume you glue this to the lid to make it snug.
Okay, gotcha. So you're gonna glue that. You're gonna put you're gonna have another slab glued to that.
I thought that is that not what you normally do?
Yeah. I'm just making sure.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. With Terry's comment, I was like, okay, maybe I misunderstood. You know?
So you're doing. Let's see if I can get this to show up.
Yeah. So this is the little piece that would slide down in the box.
Which, let's see if I can.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I gotcha. Perfect, Bill. That blade is so nice.
Yeah, I like this blade a lot. All right, now I'll grind that in on the Intarsia machine. I can already hear Sherman John. Don't be changing the process till you get the basics.
That's funny. I just had that conversation with Sherman an hour ago when he came in. So here, I can give you the SKU, Linda. It is HPLCB06-02, I believe.
All right, that's a pretty snug fit that way.
Could the paper template have been aligned with perpendicular sides and have two already done?
I'm playing a really dangerous game by sticking it in like that. Because if you get that stuck down in there, there's very little hope of getting that back out. You learn that when you do silversmithing. You never stick your stone all the way in without like a piece of duff floss or something under it to. You know, and I can tell my entire machine's clogged up because it's spitting water out like it's running. The lap's running in the. All right, now just to make sure that I'm following along with what Bill intended, this piece gets glued to a piece bigger than the top of that, and then you grind that all to match one size, and you can go polish it, right?
Yes.
You are right, Bill. The further I get along, the more I do like it.
Yeah. As soon as you get it polished, it's just going to knock your eye out. It's great.
Now, one thing to note for newer people, I'm marking that really close. I have no intention of cutting through those lines. They're just general guidelines for me to know where I can't cut through. I'm not going to cut right up against that and then try to glue it. I'm going to cut bigger than that, and I just know that I need those. That I can't grind through that space or cut through that space.
How are you gonna polish this, Zeke, on the cab machine or on the flat lap? Thanks, Michael.
We'll just do it on the cab machine.
Yes.
Now, Bill, I have another thought. I'm just thinking out loud here. Should I glue that insert piece to this before I make this match so that they're not off?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
All right. I'll glue those up and then I can use the box to make the lids
Yeah.
for the lid align.
Yep.
I think that side's prettier, so we're going to make that the outside.
Yes, it is.
And the reason I wasn't worried about the paper is because we got to grind that flat anyway, so I'll just use the paper for the side that I'm going to grind off.
On the paper, there's a couple variations. You can use rubber cement, and the other thing is some people will use shelf paper, with the sticky back on it.
Oh, yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, label paper works too. Yeah, more expensive though.
I made the mistake of not marking which side I ground on the insert. So I actually don't know which side's flat, so I went ahead and marked it with pencil this time and put an X on the back. That is the one thing for certain that I've learned from Bill. If you take nothing else away from any of these cut and chats, do the pencil test and then do it again. Because if you don't mark it, then you're going to lose track for sure. No. Bring you guys along so you can see what I'm doing. The pencil is where we're marking it, or you see me scribble on it with the pencil. I'm putting and I can show you guys on another piece, but what I'm doing is putting the pencil on there and then grinding it to make sure that all the pencil's gone. And then you put the pencil on again and do a light grind to make sure that you're actually getting the whole surface so you don't have low spots. This is definitely going to lead into requesting more polishing bits from John and things like that. Because I'm like looking at where the glue is mated and thinking, oh gosh, I want to polish every one of those little corners, all these little grooves. It would also really help if I was not over gluing to where I haven't squeezing out every edge. All right, well, there's our lid. Give that a little bit longer to dry, and then we can see how it fits. Now, assuming that you cut this oversized or it did not fit well in your insert piece, would you just grind that off and do it again?
The Yeah, if the insert piece doesn't fit, yeah, you have to do it again. You could clean the most of that glue off with a Q-tip and some acetone without really destroying the glue, because you got a nice flat glue joint in there.
Oh, that's a good idea. I was also just thinking that I don't want excess of glue making it so when I see if this fits, it never comes out again.
Yep.
That is a very snug fit. It will go down in there, but it's...
Now rotate that 90 degrees and see if it makes a difference.
Well, it's cut more of a rectangle rather than a square, so it actually only goes in one way. I actually think the snugness of this fit is the difference of the glue in there. I think if I do take your suggestion, clean out some of that excess of glue, I think it'll be perfect. And it fits pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Well, let's make it match. And I'm just going to use because it's such a tight fit, I'm going to use the box as kind of a guide.
Sure.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Off the edge there. That's why you got to push down on your piece. More plan training. It also does not help that I really hate to waste the diamond. So I'm using the opposite side of the disc here, which is actually lifting up on the piece rather than pushing down on the piece. Because, the disc is spinning this way, so over here the disc is pushing down. Over here it's going to lift up.
Yeah.
Alright, should we go polish it?
Yeah.
Oh, let me go turn on the water. Then this material is soft enough, and I've pretty much already ground every face with 180 grit, that I'm going to start on our 220 wheel. I'm sorry, our 280 grit wheel.
Makes sense.
It is not slabbed, it's just rough chunks, Judy. But if you put what size saw you have, we can make sure we have the adequate pieces.
Yeah, most of it's not very big, so as long as even though, there's probably not anything in there that would fit in a 14. Maybe one or two chunks. Most of it is going to be smaller. Like palm stone, but this size pieces. Yeah. Nah, you're so right, Bill. I'm liking it more and more as I polish it down.
Yeah.
This is another area where having a good process will really help you. Making sure that you repeat so that you polish every face. It would really suck if you got through this whole process and one of the faces was not polished. I would definitely highly encourage as you polish these to dry it off between each step and make sure that you're actually hitting every face. Do you generally do what I'm doing where you're polishing it with the lid on, like this with one piece, or do you polish them as two separate things?
I generally have. I don't think I've ever polished it with the lid on. Come to think of it, but it doesn't. I think what you're doing makes perfect sense.
I don't know. I've done enough sphere preforms where I kind of think of them as 8-sided. That having a box is not really a problem to follow the same process. But I know a lot of people, if you stop paying attention for even a second or have something that's more uniform in pattern, you're gonna be like, wait, did I do that side? Or if you eventually get to where you're selling them or just don't want to spend a ton of time, you'll polish every side 2 or 3 times and like, because you're worried you didn't hit it, which is probably more like what Jordan would do. That's why I always.
Go ahead.
What's that? I was just saying that's why I say it's important to follow a process of how you polish it.
Are you gonna round the corners or leave them sharp?
I'm gonna leave these pretty sharp. Because I want it to maintain that very cubic shape.
Looks real good.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your help, Bill. This has been so much fun. These are definitely my favorite cut and chats where you get on and instruct, and I've been doing lapidary since I was a little kid, so to get to learn something completely new that I've never done before is super exciting. Yeah, if you think about polishing and then mitering, that makes a lot of sense because if you polish your mitered faces at all, they're not going to be true anymore and you're going to have gaps. So you'd have to go back and do them again anyway. And like after Bill said that, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Team,
If you wanted to be really crazy, you could make a whole bunch of these little boxes like this and drill and put an LED light in each one and make a whole strand of epic Christmas lights,
oh my.
I think you've been sniffing a little bit of that glue.
That was so funny. We do have more coming. Please get the X off of it. All right. I don't know which is going to work better, Cerium or ZAM, so we're going to test it. And fortunately, we got at least 6 sides that we can use as tests. So,
Well, if it's soft, you can't go wrong with Zam.
it's like right at that in between where I can't decide which one I think will be better. Let me dry it off. Look at it. Oh, I can definitely tell I was way over ambitious on my grind time. That needs to go back to the 280 grit. But that is also why we say just dry it off and check it at each step.
Is Jeff still on? There you are.
very, very nice. Very nice, Zeke.
Thank you.
Jeff, I'm
Yeah.
gonna shoot you a message on here.
Now, the other thing that some people have added to that is they will glue a little piece of material on top of it as a handle.
Oh, I like that.
Just a variation of the design.
That's a great idea. Yeah, there is, Stuart. Awesome. I'm actually not going to buff this one because it needs to be repolished anyway. But I am happy with how that turned out.
Very
Yes,
nice.
very, very nice.
And then, yeah, I like Bill's idea of taking a Q-tip and cleaning out the excess glue, which will be even easier if those were polished on the inside. But that's fun. Well, now when we do the Intarsia contest, we better see some boxes in there.
Bill, thank
By
you
the way-
so much.
Oh,
Hey,
yes, sir.
Lizelle.
This has been fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bill. We really do appreciate you. You've definitely greatly expanded the Highland Park knowledge book and my personal knowledge book, and we're very glad to have you. You're a great teacher and just general nice person to hang around. So I always enjoy having you on talking when we're working.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much. And you did a beautiful job.
Thank you, Bill. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good night, Lizelle.
Thank you.
Bye, Bill.
Bye bye. Bye, Jordan.
Thanks, Bill.
See ya.